This is the real Tom Rose, and this question is a really good example of why reading the entire passage as you go is really important and not just skipping around to questions. So for example, one of the formats that you see earlier in the passage is that all cacti are native, blah, blah, blah. It's this are that I really care about. So we're setting up the appropriate verb tense style that the author is using. Now when you get down to the sentence in question, first let's ignore everything in parentheses, because all of that it's a call out. It's not in the highlighted section, so just don't read it because it'll confuse you. The majority of other succulents are being indigenous to Africa and a few scattered areas in the Eastern Hemisphere. So first of all, we don't need the being. Either they are indigenous or they aren't. They aren't being indigenous. So let's get rid of that. So I like the word are. That sounds fine. The majority of other succulents are indigenous. That's a correct verb, correct subject-verb agreement, etc. But we have to evaluate these other tenses. Would it make more sense to say the majority of other succulents will have been indigenous? Or will it make sense to say the majority of other succulents having been indigenous? Both of these don't work because there's no other event. So when you say will have been, you want to say they will have been indigenous for 200 years as of 1999 or something like that, right? You can't just say they will have been indigenous. You need to say in relation to what time event. Similarly, if you say the majority of other succulents having been indigenous, that sets up a modifier. So you say the majority of other succulents, all this having been indigenous, that sets up a modifier, but then there's no verb. So the subject has to have a verb. The subject is succulents, the verb is are. The correct verb is are. So that's the correct answer.